Buying a house can be a confusing process, and sometimes house buyers don't really understand the role of a surveyor. I'll be looking at who can survey houses, including who you should be able to trust and who you shouldn't. I'm Tim Clark, a director and chartered building surveyor at Harrison Clark Chartered Surveyors. When you think of a surveyor, you might have an image in your mind of a serious-looking, middle-aged white man with a clipboard, driving between properties in a shiny BMW. The reality is, the profession is far more diverse than it used to be, and we've mostly stopped using clipboards in favour of more modern technology. Also, the car of choice is far more likely to be an Audi or a Tesla these days. To make things more complicated, the surveying profession has become more specialist in recent years, and currently there are 22 different pathways to becoming a chartered surveyor with the RICS, the profession's governing body. Unfortunately, this hasn't made things easier for the house buying public. Even though many surveyors won't touch residential surveys, in my experience there are 3 or 4 main types of surveyors you might come across who offer residential surveys. These can be categorised into general practice surveyors, residential surveyors, valuation surveyors and building surveyors. In my biased opinion, the latter are best placed to offer advice on houses, but maybe that's because I am myself a chartered building surveyor. There are subtle but important differences between these types of surveyors. Let me explain. General practice surveyors are getting a bit rarer these days and are mostly from an age where surveying wasn't so specialised. They might have been involved in some property management, including commercial property, valuations, rent reviews, and survey work, amongst other things. This means that the time they have available to focus on each area is watered down. So while they will have a breadth of knowledge, they may not have the depth of experience in surveying houses that others might do. While surveyors are required to keep up to date by completing additional learning every year, the RICS leaves it up to individual surveyors which training they focus on. Some GP surveyors training may be a bit out of date, meaning that they might not be extremely familiar with current regulations and best practice. Residential surveyors specialise in all things residential. That could be sales, lettings, surveys and property management. The majority of residential surveyors offering house surveys will mainly focus on these, but there are some whose main focus is on sales or lettings and who will do some house surveys on the side. This means that surveys might not be their core competence. If this is a concern, you should ask your surveyor about their experience, competency and currency of training. Valuation surveyors will have trained with valuation as their primary competence. Over the course of time or with some additional training, they may have picked up skills to provide basic level 2 surveys, or some might even offer level 3 surveys. As with general practice surveyors, valuation surveyors may have breadth rather than depth of experience. Building surveyors are the type of surveyors who are expected to have extensive skills in building pathology, that is, the identification and analysis of building defects. This is normally the main focus of their entire career and is the core skill required when surveying houses. Of course, they may be involved in other service lines such as commercial surveys, party walls, projects and dilapidations, but these are also all focused on building pathology. This is why I think that chartered building surveyors are the most appropriate choice for a house survey. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. This isn't to say that there aren't extremely competent surveyors across the other pathways. There absolutely are. This video is to give you an idea about what to look for if you want to ensure that you are commissioning the most suitable surveyor for you. RICS surveyors in particular should not be offering services that are beyond their competency, but we do find that when people receive disappointing surveys, they have been completed by surveyors whose core competency is not inspection of buildings. While the RICS is viewed as being the governing body of the surveying profession, being a surveyor isn't a protected profession in the same way that being an architect is. This means that anyone can set themselves up as a surveyor. As with other professions, there will be good non-chartered surveyors, but there will also be some bad apples too. Employing non-chartered surveyors can be a bit hit and miss, as they may not have such strict rules governing their practices. Just be sure that whoever you choose to survey your property, you check out their online reviews and any professional designations to ensure that other clients have received great, expert service and that they are trusted by their peers. Some clients might be tempted to ask a builder to assess their new home. My advice would be, don't. Builders lack the training, skills and knowledge to properly inspect a building. When a surveyor gives you buildings advice, their advice will be impartial and insurance-backed. Builders are unlikely to be able to offer insurance-backed advice, and may not be impartial. If you're offered a cut price survey by a builder, just consider what's in it for them. This could be a marketing tactic to obtain some work once you've purchased the property, and who knows whether this work will be necessary. This video isn't really about telling you who you should use to survey your property, but to give you some tools to better understand the people you might end up dealing with on the way to owning your new home. Of course, if you do decide to make the right choice and to ask a chartered building surveyor to complete your survey, our team of extremely competent chartered building surveyors can be reached on 02381 550051 and will be pleased to help you on the way to de-risking your house purchase.